want to thank you for joining us on another podcast. And today we have another interesting topic for you. Today's topic is how to stop being critical of yourself. In 2 Samuel chapter 9, we get a picture of the inner critic that was in the head of Mephibosheth, the grandson of King Saul. King David was about to bestow great privileges upon him. Great assets were about to be given to him. And Mephibosheth exclaimed, "Who am I that you should show favor to a dead dog like me?" Like Mephibosheth, many of us have this inner critical voice that comes out when we're about to embark on a path of success. You know that voice that comes on in your head that tells you you're so stupid when you make a mistake? Or that voice that says, no one is going to buy that product you're selling, or you're never going to get that promotion, or why would he want to date someone like you? Today we're going to be sharing 5 tips on how to silence that inner critic that sabotages your success in every area of your life. Professor Ethan Cross of University of Michigan did research in which he said this voice cannot just be switched off. And so there are specific things that need to be done to turn this voice off in your head. And I'm going to be showing you how you can do this using these 5 tips. The first tip in turning this voice off is that it's important for you to be able to identify the emotions that's driving this voice. And so, is it fear? Is it shame? You're frustrated, or you're feeling as if there is some futility in the effort that you're trying to accomplish. If you can identify the emotion that's driving it, then this can be an important first step in helping you to protect against that voice that comes on in your head. Things like shame are very deep-rooted. Fears are very deep-rooted. And if you have missed the shows that we have done on overcoming shame, overcoming anxiety, we have half-hour podcast that we have done on this channel that can help you to further learn how you can get over those negative emotions. The second important tip is for you to be able to identify what's the source. Where is it coming from? Many of us have internalized the voices of critical parents in our head. Or maybe it's a critical first school teacher when you were in kindergarten that made you feel as if you were stupid, made you feel as if you couldn't accomplish anything in life. Or maybe it was the voices of your peers who bullied you. And so you go through life repeating that same bullying to yourself, repeating those same negative words that were spoken over you to yourself that you heard from your parents. And so it's important to identify the source. Once you can identify the source, this will empower you to get over whatever those critical words were, because you can identify each time it comes up. You can say, I am not going to be internalizing the voice of my parent. I don't deserve to be bullied the way my peers bullied me. And you can begin to speak to that voice in a way that helps you to heal those wounds. And the third important point is that you should come up with an impact statement of how this voice, this critical voice in your head, is affecting your life. Many of us have never stopped to count the cost. How many promotions have you given up? How many relationships have you walked away from because you said to yourself, I am not good enough? How many business ideas have you not acted on because you just told yourself that you could never be successful? Count the cost, because if you count the cost and you realize how far this has set you back in life, you will be motivated to do whatever it takes to overcome that negative voice. And the fourth point that I want to share with you today is that to overcome that, you need to come up with a self-affirmation list. Write a list of 10 things that you are good at, and it could also include successes that you've had in life. And to start each day reading through your affirmation list. And at the close of each day, you do the same thing. Doing this over a period of time, it's rewiring your brain to think in a different ways. You see, and I know immediately that I said this, some of you, there's a little voice going off in your head right now. I can hear it that is saying, I don't have 10 things that I am good at. Or I haven't been successful at anything. This is what many of my clients that I help in my job as a psychotherapist will tell me when I say, come up with 10 things. They'll say, 10 things, I can't think of anything. But just with a little bit of questioning, but all of them are able to come up with more than 10. And you have more than 10 things that you can write on your list. So give it a try. And maybe ask a friend to help you with coming up with these lists. And the fifth and final point that I wanted to share with you today is that you also should come up with counterbalancing statement, which is the opposite of what that critical voice in your head is telling you. So for example, if the critical voice said, you are so stupid, why did you make such a mistake? You should say to yourself, I am not stupid, I am smart. I have accomplished these things, and everyone makes mistakes. So this statement is helping to detach this deep-rooted negative thought from taking a hold of your brain and sabotaging your life. And the more you repeat this counterbalancing statement, the more you will free yourself from the voice that is taking the negative voice that is taking control over your life. So whatever your negative statement is, come up with a counterbalancing statement. That voice in your head rather might say, this person is too good for me. Come up with a counterbalancing statement that say, does he really deserve me? And ask yourself that question. Is he good enough for me? Instead of you trying to prove to yourself if you are good enough for him. And if as you approach life with this new mindset, what is going to happen is that your new chemical changes that's taking place in your brain, the anxiety that is driving these thoughts that we talk about in the beginning become less, and you're on your way to a more successful life. So I want to thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. And remember that we have a new podcast every week. If you like this podcast, please consider subscribing to this channel. We also want to remind you that ElimCounselling Services is a not-for-profit organization. So please consider making a donation to our ministry. And we also want to tell you that we have almost 300 podcasts on our channel for your listening pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode of the Life Transformation Show.